You've lost weight, your face looks leaner, your clothes fit better. Even the number on the scale is finally moving in the right direction. But then, you look at your waist, and those love handles are still there. It's frustrating because you feel like you're doing everything right. You're eating less, you're walking more. Maybe you're doing crunches, side bends, or ab workouts every day. So here's a simple question. If ab exercises could actually burn fat around your waist, why do so many people train their abs constantly and still have love handles? The truth is, you probably don't have a discipline problem. You're not lazy. And your body isn't broken. You may just be using the wrong strategy. The fitness industry has spent years telling people they need harder workouts, more cardio, and even less food. So when progress slows down, most people punish themselves. They cut more calories. They add another workout. They try to sweat the fat off. But stubborn waist fat doesn't work that way. There's a biological reason your body holds onto fat in this area longer than other places. And until you understand that, it's easy to waste months doing things that make you tired without actually fixing the problem. In this video, we're going to break down why love handles are so stubborn, the 3 things that actually drive fat loss, and the hidden habits that may be quietly slowing your progress. Because the answer isn't starving yourself. It's finally giving your body the right reason to let that fat go. One of the hardest things to accept about losing fat is that your body doesn't get to work in the order you want. You might notice your face getting leaner first. Your shirts fit a little better. Your shoulders start to look more defined. Even your legs may slim down. But your waist? It barely seems to change. That's usually the point where people start thinking something is wrong. They assume they're eating the wrong foods, doing the wrong workouts, or that their body just refuses to burn fat around the waist. But that's not what's happening. Love handles are mostly made up of subcutaneous fat. That's the layer of fat sitting just under your skin, and your body doesn't release fat from every area at the same speed. Some areas respond pretty quickly when you're in a calorie deficit. Others are much more stubborn. For most people, the waist and lower back are among the last places to lean out. It can feel unfair, especially when you've been putting in the work for weeks or even months. But this doesn't mean your body is fighting against you. And it definitely doesn't mean your plan isn't working. Your body has its own pattern for storing fat, and it follows that same pattern when it lets fat go. You don't get to choose which area changes first. You only control whether you stay consistent long enough for your body to eventually get there. That's why judging your progress by your waist alone can be misleading. If the scale is moving, your clothes are fitting differently, or you're getting stronger in the gym, those are all signs you're heading in the right direction, even if your love handles haven't caught up yet. The biggest mistake is quitting just because the area you care about most hasn't changed yet. Stay patient. Your waist isn't ignoring your effort. It's just taking longer than the rest of your body. And that's exactly why the next mistake is so dangerous. Many people get impatient at this stage and change their strategy. Instead of losing their love handles faster, they end up losing muscle first. This is probably one of the biggest fitness myths that's still around. A lot of people think if they do enough crunches, side bends, or twisting exercises, the fat around their waist will eventually disappear. It sounds logical. You're working the area, so the fat should come off there, right? Unfortunately, that's not how your body works. There's a big difference between building muscle and losing fat. They're connected, but they're not the same thing. When you do crunches or oblique exercises, you're training the muscles underneath the fat. Those muscles absolutely get stronger. Over time, they can become more defined, but the layer of fat covering them doesn't automatically go away just because those muscles are working. Your body doesn't decide where to burn fat based on which muscle is moving. It pulls stored fat according to its own biological pattern, not according to the exercise you're doing. That's why someone can have strong abs and still not see them. The muscle is there. It's just hidden under body fat. Does that mean core training is a waste of time? Not at all. A strong core improves balance, posture, and stability. It helps you lift heavier, move better, and lowers the risk of injury. And once your body fat comes down, those stronger core muscles will give your waist a much leaner, more defined look. So keep training your abs. Just don't expect them to melt fat off your waist. A much smarter approach is to train your core 2 or 3 times a week as part of a well-rounded program. Then spend most of your energy on the things that actually drive fat loss: consistent nutrition, full body strength training, and staying active every day. That's what changes your body over time. Your ab workouts shape what's underneath. Your daily habits determine when you'll finally see it. This is where a lot of people get stuck. The moment they decide to lose weight, they want results as fast as possible. So they start cutting everything. Smaller meals, no snacks, almost no carbs. Sometimes they even skip meals because they think eating less has to mean losing fat faster. At first, it feels like it's working. The scale drops. Motivation is high. You feel like you've finally figured it out. But after a week or two, things start to change. You're hungry all the time. Your energy crashes. Workouts feel harder than they used to. Even simple things like taking the stairs or going for a walk suddenly feel like too much effort. Without realizing it, you start moving less throughout the day because your body is trying to save energy. Then the cravings show up. One cheat meal turns into an entire weekend of overeating, and before long, you're right back where you started. It's frustrating because you think you failed. But the real problem wasn't your discipline, it was the plan. A diet that's too hard to stick with almost always falls apart. And when it does, people blame themselves instead of realizing they were asking too much from their body. That's why a moderate calorie deficit works so much better. It may not feel exciting, and it probably won't give you dramatic results overnight. But it gives you something much more valuable: consistency. When you eat enough to support your daily life, your workouts stay strong. You recover better. You have fewer cravings. Most importantly, you can keep going for months instead of burning out after a couple of weeks. That's how stubborn fat eventually comes off. Don't judge your progress by how fast you're losing weight. Judge it by how consistently you can follow your plan without feeling miserable. Because the people who get the best long-term results usually aren't the ones with the most extreme diets. They're the ones who keep showing up, day after day, even when progress feels slow. But losing weight by itself still isn't enough. You can end up lighter on the scale and still look soft around the waist if you lose the one thing that actually gives your body its shape: muscle. Once you stop trying to eat as little as possible, the next question becomes, so what should I actually eat? For me, the answer always starts with protein. A lot of people think protein is only important if you're trying to build big muscles. But that's not the real reason it matters when you're trying to lose fat. Protein helps you stay full longer. That alone makes dieting a lot easier. You're less likely to snack all day or end up raiding the fridge at night because you're starving. It also helps your body hold on to muscle while you're in a calorie deficit. That's a big deal. When you're losing weight, you don't just want a smaller number on the scale. You want to lose fat while keeping the muscle you've worked hard to build. That's what gives your body a leaner, stronger look, instead of leaving you feeling smaller but still soft. One mistake I see all the time is people focusing so much on cutting calories that they forget about food quality. They end up eating tiny portions that leave them hungry, even though they're technically staying within their calorie goal. A much better approach is to make protein the foundation of every meal. Once you've got that covered, build the rest of your plate around it. And don't be afraid of carbohydrates. You don't need to cut carbs out of your life to lose fat. Your body can use them as fuel, especially if you're active or lifting weights. The goal isn't to eliminate them. It's to choose better sources more often and avoid relying on heavily processed foods that are easy to overeat. Think about meals you can repeat without getting tired of them. Simple meals usually work best because they're easy to prepare and easy to stick with. At the end of the day, consistency beats perfection. You don't need the perfect diet. You need one you can follow next week, next month, and long enough to finally see the results you've been working for. A lot of people think the answer is simple. If they want to lose fat, they just need to do more cardio. So they spend hours on the treadmill, take long runs every day, or try to burn as many calories as possible. But they barely touch the weight room because they're worried about getting too bulky. The problem is, that's often the exact opposite of what they need. When you're eating fewer calories, your body can lose both fat and muscle. If you aren't giving your muscles a reason to stick around, your body may start breaking them down too. That's how people end up looking what many call skinny fat. The number on the scale goes down, but the mirror doesn't show the changes they were hoping for. Their clothes fit a little looser, but their waist still looks soft, and their body doesn't have much shape or definition. That's because muscle is what gives your body that lean, athletic look. Without enough muscle, losing weight doesn't always change the way you expected. This is where strength training becomes so important. You don't have to live in the gym or train for 2 hours every day. You just need to give your body a reason to keep the muscle it already has. The easiest way to do that is by focusing on compound exercises. Movements like squats, rows, presses, deadlifts, and pull-downs train several muscle groups at the same time. They give you more results without wasting time on endless isolation exercises. Just as important is something called progressive overload. That simply means asking your body to do a little more over time. Maybe you add 5 pounds to the bar. Maybe you do 1 extra rep. Maybe your form gets cleaner and more controlled. Small improvements may not feel exciting in the moment, but they add up faster than most people realize. If you're looking for a practical plan, 3 full-body strength workouts each week are enough for most people to make great progress. Keep track of the weight you're lifting, the number of reps you complete, and focus on improving little by little instead of trying to be perfect. And yes, you should still train your core and your obliques. A stronger core helps with posture, balance, and overall performance. Once your body fat comes down, those muscles will help your waist look tighter and more defined. Just remember, they don't decide where your body burns fat. They shape what's underneath. The real transformation happens when strength training, good nutrition, and consistency all work together over time. When people decide to lose fat, cardio is usually the first thing they think about. And somehow, a lot of us end up believing that if we're not completely exhausted by the end of the workout, it didn't count. So we push ourselves harder. Long runs, endless time on the treadmill, high-intensity workouts that leave us drained for the rest of the day. At first, it feels productive, but after a few weeks, the excitement starts to fade. Your legs feel heavy, your motivation drops. You begin looking for reasons to skip workouts because every session feels like something you have to survive instead of something you can actually enjoy. That's where a lot of people quit. Not because they aren't capable of losing fat, because the plan asks too much from them. The truth is, cardio doesn't have to leave you gasping for air to be effective. What matters most is whether you can keep doing it week after week. Sometimes, the simplest things work surprisingly well. Walking a little more each day, taking the stairs instead of the elevator, parking a little farther away, going for a brisk walk after dinner. Those small choices add up much more than people realize. If you're already tracking your steps, don't feel like you need to jump from 5,000 to 15,000 overnight. Increase them gradually until it becomes part of your normal routine. A habit you can keep is always better than a goal that's too extreme. And if you enjoy traditional cardio, that's great too. Brisk walking, incline walking, cycling, or any low to moderate intensity activity can all help increase your daily calorie burn without making recovery harder. That's an important balance, because cardio should support your plan, not compete with it. It can't fix a diet that's out of control, and it shouldn't leave you so exhausted that your strength workouts suffer or your body never has a chance to recover. Think of cardio as one piece of the puzzle, not the whole picture. Good nutrition creates the calorie deficit. Strength training helps you keep your muscle. Cardio simply helps you stay active and burn a little more energy along the way. When those 3 things work together, progress becomes much easier to maintain, and that's what really leads to lasting results. By this point, you might be thinking, I'm eating better, I'm lifting weights, I'm staying active, so why is my waist still not changing? That's a fair question. Sometimes, it's not the big things holding you back. It's the small habits you barely think about. One of them is how you start your workout. Some people like to spend 10 or 15 minutes walking, cycling, or doing a light warm-up before they begin training. The goal isn't to magically burn fat from your waist. It doesn't work like that. The idea is simply to get your body moving, increase circulation, and ease into your workout instead of jumping straight into high intensity. It's a small habit, but it can help you feel better and perform better during the rest of your session. Another thing that often gets overlooked is stress. Most of us don't think about stress as part of a fat loss plan. But your body does. When work never slows down, you're always rushing, you're constantly worried about your weight, or you never give yourself time to recover. Your body stays under pressure. And when that happens day after day, it can make the whole process feel much harder than it needs to be. I've seen people who train consistently and eat well, yet they still feel like they're stuck. Sometimes the missing piece isn't another workout, it's giving their body a chance to recover. Sleep plays a huge role here too. If you can, aim for 7 to 8 hours most nights. It doesn't have to be perfect, but good sleep gives your body a much better chance to recover from training and stay on track. Simple habits can make a difference. Cut back on caffeine later in the day. Try not to eat a huge meal right before bed. Put your phone away a little earlier and give your mind time to slow down before you try to sleep. None of these habits are exciting. They're not the kind of tips that promise fast results or dramatic transformations. But over time, they create an environment where your body can actually do what you've been asking it to do all along. And there's one more habit that catches a lot of people off guard. It usually shows up on the weekend, and it can quietly erase the calorie deficit you worked so hard to create during the entire week. A lot of people are careful all week. They hit their workouts. They stay within their calorie goal. They walk more. They meal prep. Then the weekend comes. A few drinks don't seem like a big deal because they still fit into the calorie budget. And that's where a lot of people miss the bigger picture. Alcohol isn't just about the calories it contains. When you drink, your body makes alcohol the priority. It works to process that first before focusing on other fuel sources. That means the process of using stored fat for energy slows down for a while. By itself, that may not sound like a huge problem, but alcohol can also affect other parts of your routine without you even noticing. You might sleep worse that night. The next morning, you're more tired, less motivated to train, and more likely to skip your workout. It's also easier to make food choices you normally wouldn't make when you're tired or recovering from a night of drinking. Over time, those small decisions can add up. The goal isn't to make alcohol the enemy or tell you that you can never enjoy a drink again. That's not realistic for most people. But if your main goal over the next couple of months is to finally lose those stubborn love handles, cutting back on alcohol for 8 to 12 weeks can remove one more obstacle from your progress. Think of it as giving your body the best chance to succeed during a focused period. You don't have to be perfect forever. You just need to create the right environment long enough for your hard work to finally pay off. Almost everyone hits this point. For a few weeks, everything seems to be working. The scale keeps dropping. Your clothes fit better. You feel motivated. Then one morning, the number stops moving. A day turns into 3. 3 days turn into a week. Suddenly, it feels like all your progress has disappeared. That's usually when people panic. They think their metabolism is broken. They assume the diet has stopped working. Some people immediately cut more calories. Others double their cardio or jump to a completely different diet. Most of the time, that's the wrong move. Your body weight naturally changes from day to day. Water, sodium, stored carbohydrates, the food still in your system, and even digestion can all make the scale go up or down without reflecting actual fat loss. That's why one weigh-in doesn't tell the whole story. A much better approach is to look at your weekly average instead of focusing on a single morning. Weigh yourself under similar conditions each day, then pay attention to the overall trend. The scale isn't the only thing that matters either. Look at your waist measurements. Compare progress photos. Notice how your clothes fit. Pay attention to your strength in the gym. Those signs often show progress before the scale does. If your average weight really hasn't changed for several weeks and you've been following your plan consistently, then it's time for a small adjustment. Maybe reduce your calories a little. Maybe add a little more daily movement. Keep the changes small. You don't need to tear your whole plan apart every time progress slows down. The people who eventually lose stubborn fat aren't the ones constantly searching for the perfect program. They're the ones who trust a good plan long enough to let it work. By now, you've probably realized there isn't a magic trick. There isn't one exercise that melts love handles. There isn't one food that targets fat around your waist. And you definitely don't have to starve yourself to get lean. The truth is much simpler than most people expect. Love handles are usually one of the last places to change. That's frustrating, but it's also completely normal. Your body isn't working against you. It just doesn't lose fat in the order you wish it would. That's why chasing shortcuts almost always ends in disappointment. Instead of asking, "How can I get rid of my love handles as fast as possible?" try asking a different question. What kind of plan could I honestly stick with for the next 6 months? That question changes everything. Because lasting results don't come from being perfect for 2 weeks. They come from building habits you can keep when motivation fades and progress feels slow. Stay consistent. Trust the process. Give your body enough time to do what it's designed to do. Eventually, those stubborn areas will catch up. If you found this video helpful, let me know in the comments which step you're going to start with first. I'd love to hear what's been the biggest challenge in your own journey. And if you want more straightforward, science-based videos that cut through the fitness myths and focus on what actually works, make sure you subscribe to Hidden Organ Secrets. We'll keep breaking down the small mistakes that hold people back and the simple habits that lead to real, lasting results.